Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Professor Joy.
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you see my
Good afternoon,
slides?
sir.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see.
Okay, and I can wait for a few more minutes to others to join.
Yeah.
See, normally all the classes I try to understand who are the students in the class, except this one. This was in a hurry. I just did it in a go. As part of your syllabus, you had any other session on SDGs? Akshay?
Yes, Professor Joy.
You had any other session on SDGs as part of your program? Any other classes on SDGs?
No.
So another two more classes and plus the three presentation. So today I'll be presenting some of the international experience, and the next two are on looking at Indian political parties and their manifestos. So I just need two volunteers to help me with that, and one person to review the political manifesto of BJP and another to look at the manifesto of the Congress party and to see how the manifestos are reflecting SDGs. So to what extent SDGs are reflected on in the manifesto. Just an exercise. So I need two volunteers to take a look at it. Lenin sir, can you suggest two of them? One will look at, they can do an initial reflection, then I'll build it upon that.
Yes, you can take as the way you want, sir.
Yeah, but I don't have the latest copies of the both manifesto. The last elections manifesto, both Congress manifesto and BJP manifesto. BJP manifesto I have, but the Congress manifesto I don't have it with me.
Once I have to see actually.
Right.
I don't have.
Yeah, because that is a lesson I have been asked to cover, how SDGs are reflected in the manifestos. So that
I have to see. I have to see whether I have it or not.
Yeah, BJP manifesto I have. I reviewed it to some other class, so I have it with me. So these are the two classes remaining. Then the third class is the presentation, the assignment I have given. So only three more classes, right?
Mm.
So are we taking class tomorrow, Saturday?
Yes, tomorrow is the third Saturday. We can take the class.
So we'll take one more on tomorrow. Then we'll do it Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday will be the last class then. Because Monday I asked for the class presentation, that assignment I given.
Yes.
Yeah, then the last one maybe we'll do the political parties manifesto and SDGs on Tuesday as the last class.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
You can continue the class, sir.
Sorry?
Yes, we can continue.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but there's two students who may be able to help me with looking at the parties and manifesto. Please suggest, you may suggest it, sir. Lenin, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, so you may assign this to two students. One will review the Congress Party's manifesto and another will review the BJP manifesto.
You send me the WhatsApp message, so I'll forward in the official group.
Sure, all right. Thank you. Because what I want to do is I want them to have some level of participation. Then I build upon that. That's what I was thinking.
Yes, you message me, so I will post it in the group. Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll send a request message then. Okay, we have 5 students.
Khalid, silent में डालो ना Khalid.
Yeah. Shall I begin the class or I wait for some? We have 6 students here.
So you can start the class. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Today I just wanted to review some of the lessons from other countries in implementing SDGs in some countries. And while I was reviewing how other countries did it, there are many studies on how different countries implemented SDGs in their countries. And one of the significant studies, one of the UNDP's review of how each country's implemented SDGs, and they compiled a lesson of 16 countries. So my presentation is mostly based on that UNDP paper. The original paper I can share with you to give an idea about it. And this study of 16 countries, that gives very interesting understanding about how SDGs are being understood, implemented, and the power dynamics and how that is going to contribute towards the changes in the different countries. So this is a summary of that presentation. And anyway, what was done, Sustainable Development Goal becoming a global movement, and which gives impetus and energy for the national development dialogue. So this is one of the major contributions of Sustainable Development Goal, and very limited global study on the efficacy of Sustainable Development Goal, how effectively implemented in which country. And also when I looked at, there is another, some of my immediate observation is that it seems Sustainable Development Goal remain as an important blueprint for development in some of the developing countries and small countries, not necessarily larger countries, even developing countries which are larger, which didn't much impact on that. For example, I don't know whether SDGs impacted on the national development process of countries like China and India, two large countries, but there are significant impact, but to what extent is issue. But the 16 countries case study compiled by UNDP, these are the small countries and the countries which are not necessarily politically strong, not necessarily with a strong political leadership. They managed to have being part of the global dialogue on a Sustainable Development Goal. So the ideology of Sustainable Development Goal, how it's being implemented globally, how it's part of a global movement, will be an interesting case study for the students of politics, for you guys particularly. And this lesson may be important to understand how SDGs is being implemented in India. What are the strengths, what are the weaknesses of the Indian context, how Sustainable Development Goals are being implemented in India. And also one of the major insight is that how we are going to deal with the risk associated with implementing SDGs. And so you have to situate our discussion in the context of the COVID pandemic as one of the major risk or threat to Sustainable Development Goal. I'll come to that. And when we look at globally, there are many countries around the world are trying to align their national development plans with Sustainable Development Goal. And I have a question to all of you. Why should a country align their development goals with Sustainable Development Goal? Why they should do it at all? Any response from anybody from the class? Why a country should align its development goals with that of Sustainable Development Goal?
Sir, because
yes, Vicky, go ahead. Yep.
Sir, because the Sustainable Development Goals have been contemplated from many times.
Right.
And hence they have come to the conclusion that both planet, profits, as well as people are important, and hence the development roadmap that has been shown by the UNDP in terms of Sustainable Development Goals must be followed by all the countries.
So what you said is that number one, Vicky, your observation, two observations are very right. Let me just add a few more points to that. Number one, Sustainable Development Goal is a product of a global dialogue. several years of dialogue, several years of discussion. So it's not a standalone, some isolated development plan. That's number one. Second, the international leaders accepted it. The heads of the states, they agreed to this. That means it's a global treaty. So when we are part of a global treaty, governments has got an obligation to implement it. There are legal, moral, political obligation to implement the global development framework. So these are the two reasons why countries should take effort to align their national development goals with sustainable development goal. But don't you think that that is against the principle of sovereignty of the country, the independence of the country? Anybody want to comment on this? When you say that countries are willing to align with the global sustainable development goal, isn't it against the principle of sovereignty, the independence of each country? Should I call names and ask for the question? Ganesh, you have any response? Ganesh Mantri?
Hello.
Ganesh, my question is, when we say that we are going to align with the sustainable development goal, with the national development goal, is it against the principle of the national independence, sovereignty of each country?
No, sir. Actually, with a given scenario wherein each and every country is aligning with the international goals, so I wouldn't see that as a detriment to the national interest.
Because why I raise this question is that one of the main criticism against SDGs are superimposed on the national government's plan and action. So in some extent, it may be challenging the sovereignty of the nation. So this is one of the criticism in the context of globalization. So sustainable development goal is one of the major strong vehicle or tool for globalization. From that point of view, anti-globalization critics, they say that SDG is superimposed on the national agenda and the development process. So that's why asking those questions. If anyone else thinks so, or do you think that this is not violating the national sovereignty, or anybody got any other observation, comment on it?
Sir, to some extent it is violating the sovereignty, but
Right.
when we see in terms of long-term interest, every country needs to follow this path. So broadly, they must be aligning with the SDGs.
There is no strong argument against it, but still, anyone else wanted to comment on it? Sustainable development goal, when you talk about globally, and when you look at the governance of sustainable development goal at national versus global level, the anti-globalization advocates, they challenge it, saying that this is against we are compromising the sovereignty of the nation by adhering to the sustainable development goal. And do you agree with that? Khalid, do you want to comment on it? Khalid, do you want to comment on it? By subscribing to sustainable development goal, national government, are they compromising their independence to the global community? Khalid, you want to comment on it? Okay, Vamini, you want to comment on it?
Sir, actually throat was full choked.
Sorry?
Just listening. My throat was full choked. I was just listening the whole conversation.
Yeah, but do you have any comment on it? By subscribing to sustainable development goal globally, isn't it compromising the national sovereignty or national independence?
No, sir. No. As I think,
Sir,
no.
I'm sorry, I was driving.
Yeah, that's all right. If you want to comment on it, Khalid.
Can I comment, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, Vamini, you
No,
have a
sir.
comment?
No, sir.
Yeah, sir. No, sir. No, I mean, there is not a compromise with this national development plans with that sovereignty of the country in short. So there is not.
Okay.
I don't think so. There is a compromise or something like that.
Okay, it acts as a kind of a development blueprint or a guideline, not necessarily superimposed. And also you have to remember that the heads of the states, they endorsed it. So in that way, and that endorsement came through a long process of national level debate at the policymakers and some of the critical administrators, key opinion makers. They are part of the national dialogue. So when you look at the efficacy or effectiveness of sustainable development goal at the global level, national level, so some of the major criticism came that we are superseding our independence to other country, a global entity of the United Nations. So it's not necessarily that way. It acts as a kind of a guideline. It acts as a kind of a blueprint. And also it's a part of a global process. It's not imposed on any nation. So this is one principle you have to keep in mind, that the criticism of SDGs, major criticism is about independence of the national states. And also when you look at it, the Sustainable Development Goals are being implemented with the support of the United Nations Development Group. There is UNDG, United Nations Development Group, that is consists of 30 UN agencies. The 30 UN, this I mentioned earlier, each SDGs is assigned to a UN agency to supervise, monitor, resource mobilization, technical support. So these 30 agencies is providing technical support at the national level. So I'm not commenting on the India situation, because India, we have Niti Aayog is assigned to do the monitoring and implementation coordination of SDGs. This I'll mention later on in another class, the last class. But today I just want to look at some of the experience from the global community. And also the global community country experience is compiled by, I mentioned that it's a UNDP, UN Development Group. And interestingly, they collected information from 16 countries. These are the 16 country experience: Cabo Verde, Mauritania, Sierra Leone, Uganda, Egypt, Morocco, Somalia, Indonesia, Pakistan, Philippines, Georgia, Montenegro, Turkmenistan, Brazil, Dominican Republic, and also El Salvador. These are the 16 countries experience globally documented to see how these countries implemented SDG. As I mentioned earlier, these are the medium-sized countries or small countries, and least developed country or developing country. And larger countries, they have their own way of implementing it. And I just mentioned two examples of India's experience of implementing SDGs and Chinese experience of SDGs. These are totally different from this 16 country experience. And also when you look at carefully, these are taken from Africa, Latin America, Asia Pacific. So let's see what are the main findings of these countries when they implemented it. When you look at Africa, they suggested Uganda, Sierra Leone, Mauritania, and Cabo Verde. These are the 4 countries they selected to see what is the experience. The Cabo Verde, they initiated the SDG implementation, and they represented the small island developing states, and the transition from the least developed country states. So the Cabo Verde focused on 2 issues. One is how SDGs are being implemented in small island nations, because the development challenges of small island nations is different from some of the larger ones. And some of the small island nations, they are at the verge of being submerged in the sea because of the climatic challenge. So there, actually, Sustainable Development Goal is almost about survival of the existence of the country itself. For example, if you look at some of the Pacific Island countries, a strong surge, maybe another tsunami is enough, the countries could be washed away. So this is their development challenge. And many of the countries are in a transition from the least developed countries to developing countries. So they also find it useful to look at the Sustainable Development Framework as a development blueprint. And Mauritania is also again another small country. They demonstrated early effort to mainstream SDGs within the national development strategy. So when the SDGs came, they realigned their national development strategy with SDG strategy. So this is that way they had some blueprint could be used immediately for the implementation of SDGs. And if you take the Sierra Leone, they used SDG to mobilize resources in a crisis-affected country or a fragile state. And many fragile states also used SDGs as a global framework, even for resource attraction from other countries or the development support agencies. And Uganda is a medium-sized country. They align national and subnational development plans and budgeting with the SDGs, ensuring partnership and multi-stakeholder partnership. Uganda is one country. Their experience is that they realign their national budget in tune with SDGs. So this is four countries in Africa. This is how they implemented and the lessons they learned by and their experience of implementing SDGs. And also when you look at Arab state, we have experience from three countries, Egypt, Morocco, and Somalia. Egypt aligned with the national plans with the SDG agenda. And also Egypt took the leadership to align European Union, African Union's agenda, and by investing in the capacity to monitor SDG in the African Union's member countries. African Union, you know that there are 56 countries in the African Union. So Egypt took the leadership to implement SDG in the African Union, as well as Egypt's national plan, they realigned with SDGs. And Morocco is a developing country. It's slightly better economically when you compare with other states. They use the multi-stakeholder forum to adopt SDGs on a national and local context. So Morocco was a little more refined and sophisticated in terms of policy making and institutional making. But Somalia is a very interesting country. Somalia, I use Sustainable Development Goal for a national dialogue. And you know, Somalia is one of the extremely famine-affected and conflict-affected country. They used SDG as a kind of a national reconciliation and national dialogue process for creating peace and reconciliation. So this is the experience of Somalia. And now when you look at the Asia and Pacific, we have three countries experience, Indonesia, Pakistan, Philippines. And Indonesia used SDGs for inclusive approach and localize SDGs and how to monitor progress and raise public awareness. Because Indonesia, the example is that they created massive national public awareness program for promoting SDGs. Because Indonesia is also a multi-ethnic, multi-linguistic country, like an extremely diverse country and geographically diverse, because Indonesia is a cluster of, I think, more than 500, 600 islands. So the diversity is one of them. The speciality of Indonesia. They use SDGs to bring some kind of uniformity for the national dialogue. And also the interesting about Pakistan, how they managed to implement SDGs. And number one, the political commitment towards SDG was very high in Pakistan. The top level political leaders, they implemented it. And also they created a multi-level government. And those who are familiar with Pakistan is really a federal state now. The national government's power is, dissipated to the provincial state governments. In fact, even the resources allocated at the state level. The federal government is just as a coordinating government. So this is one of the unique example of a Pakistan governance system. So they used SDGs again to look at the federal state level. And Pakistan is an interesting example of the governance of federal system. So in that context, they used SDGs for a national dialogue and also to ensure the national, the political commitment. And the Philippines is also another country. The diversity is a major, the symbol of the Philippines. And they used SDG for promoting institutional coordination and also coherence at the national and subnational level, and also initiating the multi-stakeholder approach. So that this is where the Pakistan used SDGs at the national level implementation. When you look at an example from Europe and Central Asia, we have three examples: Georgia, Montenegro, and Turkmenistan. And Georgia prioritized SDG implementation and the institutional coordination and for the policy coherence, because in many countries they struggle with the policy coherence. But SDGs is give a comprehensive policy framework to initiate and dialogue on development goals and particularly sustainable development goals. So that is effort of, that is experience of Georgia. And Montenegro, they adopted and established a national strategy for implementing and integrating SDG at the national strategic level, and also integrating the global and regional agendas. So this is their experience. And also Turkmenistan, they localized SDGs and created a national monitoring system with an inclusive approach and different phased approach for integrating. So this is an example from the 3 countries in Central Asia. And Latin American, Caribbean, we have 3 examples: Brazil, Dominican Republic, and El Salvador. Brazil engaged multi-stakeholder approach for implementing and tracking the progress of 2030 agenda. They created a different stakeholder approach. And Dominican Republic established the multi-stakeholder coordination mechanism. And also they looked at the data and assessing the data capacity. El Salvador, they demonstrated ownership by implementing SDGs by raising awareness among the developing stakeholders. Like Indonesia and Philippines, they also invested heavily in the creating national awareness about the obligation of Sustainable Development Goal and the details of Sustainable Development Goal. Now, when you look at some of the key observations, what are the observations from these 16 countries' experience of implementing SDGs? And number 1, early report to mainstream SDGs at national plan and framework are happening in many countries. In many countries, using SDGs for mainstreaming SDGs and also creating national plans and national framework. And also, second, governments are working with UN agencies, or UN agencies are working with governments and convening and facilitating national dialogue. So national dialogue on SDGs is taking place across the board, across the nation. So this is one of the strong governance structure, positive contribution. SDGs are contributing towards the national dialogue. And also measuring the progress of SDGs is another effort taken by many countries. Many countries, they created the national mechanism for promoting SDGs, for progress and measuring the progress of SDGs. So this is a new institutional mechanism in many countries. And also when you look at and some of the most innovations happening in some of the most complex situations. So for example, many countries, they didn't expect that Pakistan may be utilizing SDG for their nation building, because Pakistan is almost in the verge of a fragile state. So even some of the states which they utilize SDGs for revitalizing their national dialogue on sustainability goals. So it gives us a kind of an impetus for creating a new dialogue. So Pakistan is an example of that. And if you summarize what are the key national efforts, number 1, many countries, they created public awareness. Number 2, they created a multi-stakeholder approach. Number 3, they revived plans and adapted SDGs into their national plans, national development plans. And also many of them, they've taken effort for a horizontal policy coherence. And we know that in many governments, each department, they work independently without any synchronization with some other departments. So this is what we call it as silos mentality. Each department, each ministry works in their own exclusive zone. They may not integrate or work with others on. But SDG provided an opportunity to break through this silos approach. And also SDG facilitated vertical policy coherence, means globalizing as well as localizing the development agenda. So this is another contribution of SDG at the global level. And also many other countries, they used SDG for budgeting their own national budgets. So the allocation was mostly influenced by the Sustainable Development Goal. And also many countries, they revitalized the monitoring, reporting and accountability system because Sustainable Development Goal. And also assessing the risk and fostering adaptability of the development goals is another contribution of Sustainable Development Goal. So these are some of the lessons learned from the key national effort in implementing SDGs. So this is also useful for understanding when we try to understand the implementation of SDG at the national level in India. Any questions so far? Any feedback, any comments?
No, sir.
Okay. And when you move on, I'll just we suggested about 8 lessons learned from implementing the Sustainable Development. I just briefly take it up, what is its how it's being implemented. One is all the governments, they contributed towards raising public awareness about sustainable development goal. So this may be another lesson where I look at the Indian experience also. And this public awareness, they use mostly on social media and the media used extensively for implementing and promoting SDGs. And many countries, they hosted sports events, music events, photo exhibition, and different kind of public awareness building activities. And also in some countries, they appointed eminent individuals and celebrities as SDG ambassadors. Do we have SDG ambassadors in India? Anybody? Do we have SDG ambassadors? I leave it with you for as a homework, but we have a subject-specific ambassadors, for example, girls' child's education and girls' empowerment. So that way, for example, UNICEF, they implemented ambassador scheme. UNDP has goodwill ambassadors, and also many countries they created SDG training program for the government officials, and also to inform the government officials about Sustainable Development Goal agenda and 2030 agenda and the national obligation. And also social media is extensively used in most of the countries for a question and answer session on Sustainable Development Goal between the governments and the public. And also there are different age groups are being engaged into sustainable development goal related engagement. So this is another example of how the public awareness raising effort by the different countries are being implemented. And also the another concept is about inclusive participation. And if you look at SDG implementation, one of the central principles of SDG is it should be an inclusive participation. A participation of all segments of society, all segments of the population groups are being discussed, debated, and they're part of the dialogue, and also they're part of the implementation process, and also most importantly, they're part of the beneficiaries of the development process, the beneficiaries of the positive outcome of the development process. So the inclusive participation as a principle is strongly pushed by Sustainable Development Goal across the region, across the country. So this is one of the major lessons we are learning. So inclusive participation is promoted extensively by most of the countries. And also when you look at the capacity of reviewing existing plan, SDG plan, Sustainable Development Goal, provided an impetus for reviewing the existing development plans in each country, and also they used SDGs to adapt to the national context by reviewing the existing development plan. So in most countries, Sustainable Development Goal provided an additional framework to review their own existing plan. So this is another the governance contribution of SDGs at the global level, and also the coordination of the policy coherence at the horizontal level as well as vertical level. And many of the governments, many departments, they reviewed how those departments are integral to the Sustainable Development Goal. For example, take the case of transportation, aviation, and many of the institutions, they were forced to review their activities in the context of a Sustainable Development Goal. And one of the most important example is that how the carbon footprint is being implemented, what is the extent and level of carbon footprint of each department. So this is largely came through the Sustainable Development Goal related dialogue and policy dialogue. And also vertical coordination and coherence, what we call it as localizing, global as well as local. So how you connect between globalization of Sustainable Development Goal as well as localizing Sustainable Development Goal. And localizing SDG at the national level, subnational level, in the Indian context at the panchayat level, at the municipality level, how you implement SDGs. So this is one of the major contribution again. And also many of the national governments, they created at the central level coordination, at the provincial level coordination, and also local level coordination of implementation of Sustainable Development Goal and various aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals. This also the globalization of the Sustainable Development Goal, how it is being integrated at the local level. And again, the Sustainable Development Goal impacted on the budgeting of the national government. And financing instruments are mostly impacted by Sustainable Development Goal. and many governments, they did the costing of sustainable development goal. And this I mentioned in my earlier class. The costing of sustainable development, we talk about 17 goals and it's being implemented in national level. What could be the cost of implementing each SDGs? But in India, we don't have a comprehensive costing of the sustainable development goal. In some countries, they did. What is the cost of implementing all the 16 goals in the at the national level? So maybe this is the one thing you may have to think about your own personal advocacy. To what extent we have done a costing of the cost of implementing sustainable development goal at national level as well as at the local level. And also, sustainable development goal given a renewed impetus for the idea of monitoring, reporting, and accountability of the development process. Because each country has got their own development framework, but a sustainable development goal contributed towards strengthening the monitoring, reporting, and accountability. And why it's important? Because all the national government, they're supposed to report the progress of implementing sustainable development goal. As I mentioned earlier, in India, Niti Aayog is the agency which is committed or which is assigned to monitor, report, and ensuring the accountability of a sustainable development goal. And Niti Aayog presented the Niti Aayog India report to the UN General Assembly. And I'll just briefly discuss in one of my sessions before I close our class. What is the progress of Niti Aayog and to what extent they reported the efficacy of implementing SDG in the Indian context. And also when you look at assessing the risk and fostering that adaptability, this is one of the important aspects of SDG. Many countries, their development assessment and the risk assessment of the National Development Scheme and how to adaptability. These two concepts is gradually or greatly influenced by our dialogue and effort towards SDGs. And we know that many of the national government, they accommodated the risk associated with the climatic change and climatic crisis. And also the risk management of climatic change at the national level is largely influenced by the SDG goals. And also probably one of the major threats or risk of sustainable development goal in the global level, particularly Indian context, is what is impact of sustainable development goal and how it is impacted by the COVID pandemic. I would say that probably one of the major threat for sustainable development goal will be from the COVID pandemic. So this is my personal observation. Would anybody suggest that why COVID pandemic may come out to be one of the major threat towards sustainable development goal? Can anybody comment on it? Why we should consider COVID pandemic may remain as one of the major threat towards sustainable development goal?
Sir, all be it manpower, resource, or money that is being diverted to contain.
Okay, resources are being diverted for dealing with COVID pandemic and also prioritization. Now the national dialogue is about how to deal with a health crisis, a humanitarian crisis. So nobody is talking about how do we find resources, what is the gap in implementing SDGs. So this is one of the major threats for SDGs. Any other threat? What could be the threat of SDGs in the Indian context? One is the issue of COVID pandemic and its impact, and explicitly which is impacting on the resource allocation. Any other threat can you identify?
So differential impact on the different sections of the society, especially the poor, the proportion of poor will increase due to COVID pandemic. So that
yeah, because your observation is correct, and the prioritization is going to change because COVID pandemic is absolutely going to change some national priority, and national priority in terms of a national dialogue, resource allocation, human resource allocation, and entire our focus may be going to change. So this also gives an opportunity, and what could be that opportunity? Maybe post SDG dialogue. Maybe you guys, you are in the politics of setting national goals and national agenda. One of the opportunity for sustainable development goal, and in the context of a COVID pandemic, is that probably national government and international government may have to talk about after 2030 sustainable development goal, how we are going to deal with it, because it's becoming very clear that SDG Sustainable Development Goal may not be met by 2030, mostly because of the COVID pandemic. So we may think about what next. A post Sustainable Development Goal development framework. So maybe you can think about this, a very fertile ground. What could be the political implication of the failed Sustainable Development Goal? What could be economic implication? What could be the development implication of the failure of Sustainable Development Goal? And also now you can start thinking about what is going to be come after the Sustainable Development Goal. What could be the agenda, national goals, global goals beyond SDGs, beyond 2030. So this could be an opportunity as well as a challenge. And particularly, I would present it to you guys because you're looking at the national development process and the political process. Probably India could lead towards a post beyond SDG agenda. You can have a national dialogue, maybe a national conference on a post SDG framework for the national governments, or maybe India's contribution towards post SDG dialogue. So I mean there are enormous, huge amount of opportunities existing to discuss about and lead post Sustainable Development Goal, post 2030 agenda. And I would say that you guys got an opportunity to take it up, start thinking about it, and start discussing about it. So, any questions so far? Any comments? Any questions? What I did today is I tried to review some of the global experience on implementing SDGs and what is its implication, what lessons learned. And I presented experience on 16 countries from Africa, Asia, Latin America. So, and I highlighted some of the main examples and main lessons learned by implementing SDG in the 16 countries. As I cautioned that this is lessons based on some of the small countries, medium-sized countries, and least developed countries. And we don't have much experience of what lessons learned from the governance of implementing SDG from the context of China and India, because two large nations, what lessons we can learn from the governance of SDG, we have very limited data. And India got a specially assigned team, a department for looking at it. So this is what I generally presented today. And any other concluding remarks, questions from any of you?
So I have one question regarding SDGs.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Sir, I have read somewhere newspapers or magazines that SDG is mostly a Western concept, and it has been brought by the developed world for the developing world, so as to align them for their own interests. So how do you see the weightage in these statements? Because it is generally seen that the responsibilities of the developed countries are more because they have used the resources more, and the border has been now shifted towards the developing countries or the least developed countries. So how do you see this?
Okay, before I ask my answer, let me ask your opinion. You agree with that suggestion, that observation?
Sir, same observation was for Kyoto Protocol as well.
Right. No, see, this is what I raised my question in the beginning of my presentation. When we subscribe to the Sustainable Development Goal and the global protocols, isn't it we compromising the national sovereignty, national independence? So this is a question I presented at the beginning of my presentation, my class itself. I hope you remember that. So my answer is, I'm not giving a straight one-way answer. See, what was said and done, the Sustainable Development Goal is a global framework to look at the issues of poverty, issues of gender equality, social equity. See, this all concerns of the developing countries. We cannot say that these are the issue of poverty is countries like India this is one of the major political challenges we are facing. How do we ensure that, almost 800 million people have a decent food when they go to sleep at the end of the day? This is not an international conspiracy or international agenda. This is our problem. We need to find out a way to deal with those issues. So at the same time, to large extent, the international community, they shied away from their responsibility because if we compare Millennium Development Goal with Sustainable Development Goal, Millennium Development Goal financing, there is a clear mechanism. Because the developed countries, their 0.07 part of the GDP should go to ODA, Overseas Development Assistance. There is a clear agreement, international agreement. But the Sustainable Development Goal came, the financing responsibility international community slowly withdrew. Even though there are several international round of consultation took place about financing SDGs, but the clear blueprint for financing SDGs never came out. And that's mostly left for the national governments. So the international community's responsibility towards sharing the responsibility, they went back significantly. That I completely agree with that. At the same time, the Sustainable Development Goal related dialogue, discussion, frameworks, approaches, analysis, it's all important for the developing countries, because that gives a framework to look at some of the national programs. So the criticism raised by Vicky is not, I don't completely agree with that. To some extent, I agree. The agreement is on an area of financing of Sustainable Development Goal. But also we have to remember that ultimately national development is responsible as the national governments and national population. India's development is basically India's responsibility. We cannot blame. We can blame to some extent UK, maybe because they are our their colony. So that way there is certain level of criticism. Beyond that, we have our own responsibility to ensure our priority, ensure our investment. But at the same time, international community got a responsibility as a global citizen and being part of the United Nations, being part of the global community. And a responsible global citizen, there is a responsibility of sharing the cost of implementation of Sustainable Development Goal. But from that, there is some value in it, what you suggested, but I don't completely agree with that, because ultimately the national development is the national responsibility, national government's responsibility, and the responsibility of the national population. Am I answering to both of your questions, Vicky's and Pranay Kumar's?
No, sir. I never had I didn't have any question, because I'm of the opinion that, okay, initiatives may have come from the developed world, but it is in not bad spirit. Okay.
See, we got a framework. We got a framework for dialogue even with the developed countries. We can say that we want a partnership is based on the SDG framework. So that way there is a strong instrument for the global dialogue. It's a global blueprint. So any trade agreement, any other negotiation, any other partnership, regional partnership and global partnership, whether this fits into the Sustainable Development Goal, the Sustainable Development Framework, is an important tool for negotiation and discussion. So that's a contribution. That doesn't mean that we are compromising our national independence, national sovereignty. That's not the case.
And we should be intelligent enough to understand as to how much we will be. We are not somebody who are ready to get gullible. We have to think, okay, how much is the interest of developed nations in this framework, or is it good for us? Is climate protocol almost very good for us? But after Paris Convention and India's Solar Alliance, we are going ahead.
See, the Kyoto Protocol also, even within the SDG framework, that's significantly influenced our energy policy, national energy policy. That we should keep in mind that, because our own dependence on the petrol energy, and that is slowly shifting towards renewable energy. That's partially towards Paris Agreement and Kyoto Protocol. So international debate and dialogue is also impacting on our national policies. I would say it's positively contributing towards that. And also we know that the direct impact of air pollution in Delhi And what is happening? Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world. So those pollution is our own creation, not by another country came and started polluting it. Okay, also yeah, so because our pollution is our own pollution, not necessarily coming from other countries, particularly if we take the case of Delhi. So, but that understanding about how to deal with the pollution and the impact of pollution on national health, impact of pollution on national economy, that dialogue helped us from the framework of Paris Agreement and Kyoto Protocol, and also the global agreement of keeping in the global temperature within 1.5, less than the 1.5 increase in the global temperature. So those kind of global dialogue, global framework is definitely helping us to reform our own national policies, our own national priorities and institutional priorities, and the reform in the national change is influenced greatly by that. We are not blindly taking it. We are also aware of it. Initial resistance and our thinking process is changed. So this is a critical dialogue. In that dialogue, this framework is helping us to clarity, ideas, and also opinions, and which is galvanized from a different segment of the population. Anyone else want to comment?
So when you spoke about,
I'm sorry? Pranay, I just lost you. I didn't hear what you said.
no, is Vicky saying something?
Anyone else? All right, then that's the end of the class for today. Sorry?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Then actually, you said about petroleum.
Right.
There is a concern about even national hydroelectric power stations, which are mostly situated in Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim. For the time being, maybe in last 20-30 years, we are very happy that, okay, we are able to get electricity from Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam as well. But in coming years, maybe 10 years from now, when there will be lot of silt in the dams that have been built there, and when we want to desilt those dams so that we are able to produce more electricity, don't you know how much pollution will be created when n number of trucks will be required to carry out the silt from those big dams from Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh? Then what will be the level of pollution in these states?
I agree with your observation, and we may ask a question. Technically, is it feasible at all for desilting some of the hydroelectric projects? That's all. Because if it started digging the depository, it may weaken the structure of the hydroelectric projects. So we may not be.
Will it be abandoned?
It may be abandoned. It may be become a tourist attraction. Maybe. I mean, I'm just speculating. This is not only. This is not the only challenge we have. We have a huge dependence on nuclear energy, because we have a composite of nuclear energy. Nuclear energy, at some point of time, we may have to decommission it. Decommissioning nuclear energy is, we could say, is almost impossible, because where do you go and store the contaminated stuff, nuclear and the waste? So our energy sector is drastically influenced by our understanding about global energy needs, and also this is two particular protocols, Kyoto Protocol and also Paris Agreement. We have a global obligation that we will be keeping our pollution under control, not only for the international community, for our own sake. Because nuclear energy dependence reduction is an essential element of the national safety. It could be, it may spread over to the neighboring countries, but it's a national safety issue. Reducing the pollution in Delhi is a national safety issue, national health security issue.
Sir, opposite.
Yes.
God.
Khalid, you want to say something? Khalid, you are saying something to me? Okay, right. So then our national energy framework, energy dialogue is greatly influenced by the global commitment. So, and that I would say is a positively impacting on that.
Yes, yes.
And that gives lot of ideas, insights, lessons learned from other countries. So I cannot say that this is at the interest of the national interest, because I mean, as I mentioned again, I'm repeating it, reducing the pollution in Delhi is a national interest, not for the neighboring country's interest. I mean, it's a health security. It's a health security or health emergency in Delhi. Even in the COVID pandemic, even the vehicles are off the road, but still we are experiencing the pollution. And by the way, in our campus, we have a pollution control instrument sitting there. You can see the national pollution, how it's comparingly coming up. Even small cities are experiencing air pollution. As a major health threat. We talk about COVID pandemic as a pandemic. I would even say that there is a silent pandemic is going on, that is air pollution. Air pollution related deaths. You see, if you compare with COVID pandemic, there are 2 million deaths occurred so far on COVID pandemic. In a year, about almost 8 million deaths is taking place because of the air pollution. We are already experiencing another emergency. This is a climatic energy emergency as well as air pollution emergency. So I'm just giving an example about how international frameworks are helping us to understand our understanding of some of the very urgent, pressing challenges of the national development agenda.
Yes, yes.
So now we have 3 classes. 2, I just wanted to review the manifesto of the political parties. 2 days, I'll leave it for that. 3rd day, there's a presentation on Monday. I mean, the assignment I given. And Tuesday, I'll just conclude it with Niti Aayog's contribution towards SDGs in India. I'll do an assessment and a review of Niti Aayog's contribution. So this is the structure of the class for me, the remaining classes. Lenin sir, can I stop? All right, then. Thank you very much, and thanks for being with me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.